all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
Boring. 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 Boring.
You got it work. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
I call again for immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages.
Welcome to another edition of Lembit Öpik Live here on Unprecedented TV, where we find the facts, kill the spin, and tell it like it is as best we can. We may be discussing a little bit the visit of Donald Trump to the United Kingdom, the second time he's come on a state visit. Bit of a flying in and flying out job, seeing the King of the United Kingdom, King Charles, and also the Prime Minister, for now at least, Keir Starmer. I wonder which he's going to enjoy more. I'd be willing to bet it's Charles rather than Starmer. But if you're watching this in the archive, you'll know. If you're watching it live, we'll find out soon enough. Donald Trump comes to a country where the significant part of the motor industry, the manufacturing part of it at least, is shut down. Why? Because of some sort of a cyber attack. JLR, that's Jaguar Land Rover, a prestige brand, many would say, has been suffering because of some kind of a vicious attempt to harm the company, presumably to get some sort of a financial ransom. But they've been closed for weeks. This will eventually be resolved, but there is a bigger threat as well. The bigger threat is that we have a government that wants to do away with all new petrol and diesel vehicle sales, or at least car sales, by 2030. Why? Because of the climate emergency. Regular viewers know there is no such thing, at least in my opinion. And yet we're hobbling the industry, something which has been central to British manufacturing for decades, for over a century, I would say as well. But unfortunately, we have the likes of Ed Miliband, who is apparently responsible for cutting down our carbon dioxide emissions, even though carbon dioxide is the gas of life. In the meantime, we struggle on with all these ridiculous, in my opinion, CO2 cutting projects and policies at the cost of not just the motoring industry, but manufacturing as a whole. Well, what is going on at JLR, Jaguar Land Rover, and is there anything that can be done about it? Joining me today from the Alliance of British Drivers, I'm glad to say, is Paul Naylor. Paul, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Tell us what the Alliance of British Drivers does to begin with.
Hi, Lembit. Good to see you again. So the Alliance of British Drivers, we're basically everything for the motorist. And I suppose if you were to put it under an umbrella, it's basically the freedom of movement, the right to be able to drive, to be able to get in your car and decide where your A to B is, rather than having to go by train to a certain spot and then pick up an electric taxi to get you on the rest of your journey. It's about the ability to choose. And if you want to buy an electric vehicle, go ahead and buy one. I won't be buying one anytime soon. But you know, why should we be forced into a vehicle type? It's all wrong. And we look at all sorts of things like the quality of roads, be that from a point of view of potholes, and also something that particularly affects the capital, but is now rolling out across the country, things like ULEZ zones and stuff like that. And Mr. Khan, if he had his way, we'd all be sort of going around on 25-year-old rally choppers and goodness knows what else. What is,
for those who don't know it, what is ULEZ?
ULEZ, that's a very good question. It's the ultra low emission zone. So basically it means that once you enter that gateway, if you like, your car will be judged primarily on the age of the vehicle. Now that's not always correct. I mean, as an example, a really old Nissan Micra, which tootles along, putting out very, very little of this heinous carbon dioxide and all its emissions, is being compared to something that's brand spanking new, but might be spluttering out all sorts of things, according to our dear friends on the left. But you know, it's not an exact science, shall we say, Lembit? The fact that they're comparing old with new. If you've got a car of a certain age, you can pretty much guarantee that you will get a letter through your door.
And just explain, when you say it's age related, what do you mean?
So if you've got a vehicle of a certain age, so I don't know, let's say, for example, if you've got a vehicle that predates, you know, the 21st century, if you've got a car that's still running quite happily and it's from the tail end of the 20th century, if you enter a ULEZ zone, you can pretty much guarantee that you'll get something come through your letterbox stating that you know, your vehicle is the death knell to all the people here, and you therefore you need to cough up some money. So coughing up the money apparently solves everything. You know, it's, don't worry about the fact that you've got some noxious fumes, according to these governing bodies. It's more about the money. That stinks.
And just in terms of the commitment to cutting carbon dioxide, I just don't really understand.
No.
It's also about pollution, isn't it? But then they're making you go into the underground, where levels of particulate matter, bits in the air, are orders of magnitude more than they are at street level. Who came up with this rubbish?
Yeah, and of course, if you're being forced onto an alternate form of transport, such as the underground, well, the last time I was in London, which was last week, guess what? There was an underground strike on anyway. So not only is it impractical from the point of view of taking people off the road, but the alternative is often not available. The last time I was in London on the underground, it absolutely, you can feel the stench of it hitting you at the back of the throat. So if that's okay for us, then surely cars are.
I think there's a case for a class action, because if Sadiq Khan insists on telling us, the Mayor of London, that particulate matter is deadly, why is he exposing us to up to 3,000% more of it in the underground? But that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
There aren't many emissions coming out of JLR, Jaguar Land Rover. What's happened?
That was a beautiful segue. I love that. In fact, that's what they'll start making, segues.
Are you doing a segue? That's a story.
We'll chat about that another time. So I used to work over in Wolverhampton. I used to work at the Express and Star in Wolverhampton, in the editorial department, and I had a lot of dealings with the business editor and the business team there. And going back probably 15, maybe 20 years ago, when Jaguar moved just outside Wolverhampton, it was a massive
Mm.
deal. We've got this huge organization just in the corridor for Wolverhampton, basically. Jaguar, JLR is having all sorts of issues at the moment, as we know, not least because of a very, very, how should we put it, interesting advertising campaign, which a marketing company came in with, that didn't actually advertise a car at all. It just had a lot of people in very colourful clothes, and it really was the start of the rot for the organisation. But at the moment, as a result of a cyber attack, I don't think there's been any vehicles produced there now since the end of August.
Yes. Is this the advert that you're talking about?
Screen grab from it, yeah. So people probably have seen this either on their TVs or certainly when it was in the news a few months back, and it was the most nauseating piece of utter drivel that I've seen in years. Not only does it sort of like completely oppose what a Jaguar and probably a Land Rover and Range Rover driver is, but it was just nonsense. There was nothing in there about vehicles. The sort of person that drives a Jaguar, for my mind, would be probably somebody. It's that treat when you retire, when you get your lump sum, isn't it? It's that sort of, oh, I've always wanted one of these, and you go out and get yourself a Jaguar, or you're doing very well as a younger person, and you maybe have it as your company car if you're doing, if you're at the top of your game. Who would want to be associated with that? It's just beyond me, and it's like the emperor's new clothes, isn't it? Somebody's talked them into that before it's actually got as far as it's got.
Well, let's come back to that, the advertising, in a while. At the moment, we've got this cyber attack which seems to have stalled a business. How can an entire company be brought to a standstill by a cyber attack?
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't know the detail of it, do we? But you can only imagine that ransomware is involved in this. And for an organization like JLR to have been disrupted to this level, this is very similar to what happened at Marks and Spencer's recently. But by all accounts, from what I have read, it is actually more invasive and something that's going to take them a lot longer to sort out. But the biggest problem, of course, is it doesn't just impact on JLR per se, but it's all the businesses that feed into it as well, all the supply chain, because the impact is already being felt by many of these smaller companies, whether having to lay off staff or effectively furlough. Who wants to hear that word again? But they are having to pause their production because there's nothing for them to forward their product onto.
I mean, a car engines to me are things of beauty, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just for me, form follows function. Say again?
It's a bit of artwork, isn't it? It's lovely.
It is. Yeah, it is a piece of art, and it obeys the laws of physics, and laws of physics are beautiful. Yeah. And it just, there's something just so elegant about that kind of thing. And I don't know, I wonder if in a way, the car industry is a celebration of the best of human ingenuity, but now it seems
I would agree. I would agree with that.
It's not the mechanics that are the problem here; it's the electronics that seem to be holding things up. This could never have happened to Henry Ford with his Model T. There weren't any microchips involved in that mass production, were there?
No, and there'd be no problem with the choice of color either. But
what are these things?
I don't know. I was just flicking through trying to find some bits and bobs.
They look nice.
Yeah, some
can we get those gears back up again? I think that, that's my favorite one.
That's nice.
They're weighty. You could use them as paperweights and so on.
You could imagine wandering into an art gallery in London and seeing that going. Yeah.
Well, I would agree with you, although it might be making us rather stereotypical. My first job, I don't know if you know this, but my first job, I don't think I've ever told you actually, was in a garage, and I used to, when I was 15, cycle down there every Saturday, and I got paid £5.20 a day. That was my first job, and then I asked for a pay rise, and it went up to £6. I did that for over a year, and I learned quite a lot about mechanics. And thereafter, used to be the person who fixed the car, the motorbikes mainly of my friends, but couldn't have fixed the software. So it does seem to me then that JLR is currently not functioning, not due to industrial action, not due to a problem with the production line per se, but because of a software fault. And that bothers me, because it means that our society could be brought to a standstill fairly easily by a malicious attack, for example, by a foreign power.
That's what this all feels like it's leading to, doesn't it? I mean, like I said, there was this massive disruption at Marks and Spencer's only the other month. This is very similar. So that's two sort of cornerstones of British way of life that have been attacked. And it does kind of feel like a test, if you like. So if we were to, as a nation, rise up against, I don't know, I would guess that this is coming from outside of the UK.
Well, yeah, try not to declare war. Paul.
No, I'm trying not to. Yeah. I've named no one.
You're thinking of the Isle of Man, are you thinking of? Or
That's
or
exactly where I was thinking of.
the
Sheppey.
nation state of Nauru, perhaps. Sheppey, Canvey Island, perhaps. So it basically means that what's happened to JLR could happen to the country.
Yes.
I would have imagined that they have reasonably robust systems. I'm told, though, the way this happens most likely is that one of the suppliers was infected with the malware and they somehow inadvertently uploaded it into JLR.
Probably something as simple as clicking on a link that they shouldn't have clicked on in an email that's triggered this.
Could happen to any of us.
Yeah.
That's the big worry.
Yeah.
That's what really worries me about it.
But,
So they're stuck not because of strategic government policy, but because of malware, and that's a big worry. But let's now look in a moment look at the bigger picture, the state of our country. I think we've got quite a dramatic picture here. That's another work of art. All right, we've seen that. Enough of that one. Get rid of it. Thank you very much. That's the one I was looking for.
There you go.
Yeah,
Look at that.
This is a rather gloomy portend of the future.
Yeah.
What's it telling us? This, I suppose, it's saying that the good old Route Master bus there on the left, together with the old-fashioned cars, the kind of things that I grew up with when I was a kid, they're all being consigned together with manufacturer to the bin of history.
And then in the background, you've got the triumphant other countries with their cheaper, more affordable, and probably way more cleverly and strategically put together vehicles trundling into the country, whilst we have to send these to the scrapyard. Yeah,
it's tragic, really. Let's talk about that in a minute. You are also, of course, involved with a wonderful show, one of our most successful shows, actually. It's called Full Throttle. Just tell us about that, and then we'll actually maybe play an advert for it if we can. What does Full Throttle do here in Unprecedented?
Full Throttle, it's a fantastic opportunity for the Alliance of British Drivers to convey their message in an entertaining program. We have some great guests. We had Howard Cox in one of our earlier episodes, and we're all very, very aware of what Howard does in terms of fuel duty through FFUK.
That's Fuel UK, yeah. It's not a swear word.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm all for abbreviations. But
I say okay.
Yeah, cheers. But no, it's a great way for us to be able to spread the message in another format. I mean, we have regular monthly newsletters that go out, and quarterly that goes out as a printed magazine as well. So we have the printed magazine. The rest of the time it goes out as a digital newsletter, but we just like to keep people informed about what's going on out there, the hypocrisy of decisions that are being made above our heads, and the fact that we can have a voice. And the motorist is, again, very similar to a lot of things that are going on in this country. The motorist is very much a silent majority, and if we don't speak out on behalf of the motorist and try to retain a decent road structure, try to rally against such stupid ideas as ULEZ zones, and try to just make sure that people aren't forced into a form of vehicle that they shouldn't be forced into. Yeah. If we can just sort of change one thing for the motorist, well, then it's all worthwhile.
Let's have a quick look at Full Throttle UK. I might have surmised from that advert that the Alliance for British Divers is campaigning to bring back the Flying Scotsman, Concorde, and the QE2.
My main concern is getting some WD-40 on those brakes. But
You see, that's the mistake people always say. I got this little electric bicycle, which I really like. That's my only electric vehicle, but it's really good fun. Not on a bad day, not on a rainy day, but the brakes squeal. And so many people have said, why don't you oil them? Ladies and gentlemen, don't oil your brakes. Just don't do it.
But we'll do it and see what happens.
Well, you can do it once and you'll see what happens. There we go. The Darwin Awards would be just behind you. If you don't know what they are, look them up on the internet. Now, we were talking about the demise of British car industry. I don't mean the problems that JLR, Jaguar Land Rover, but just the general idea illustrated in that picture that we had before. Essentially, that we had a once great car industry. And good old Route Master bus, which apparently they do 15 miles a gallon. I spoke to a guy called Kingsley Hamilton, who you surely must have on your show. He has one of these things, one of those old buses, and he says they're pretty economical. But it's all going because of ideology. Ideology is ridiculous ideology that CO2 is our enemy, and we have to scrap carbon dioxide emitting vehicles.
Yeah.
Why? Why have we got this nonsense going on?
We've got it being drilled into us from up above that that the enemy is these emissions, that we're causing all the changes of weather patterns, shall we say? But they are just changes. The Earth is in constant flux. We're currently going through a warming phase. As we're still coming out of the last ice age, believe it or not. So this is just part of that. We're of the belief, and certainly we can prove through the science that we've got at our fingertips, that this nonsense idea of us pushing people into electric vehicles and to live their life in where we're basically going to be thrown back into the dark ages, that we're doing it with this sort of like, hurrah, hurrah, look at us, we're being so virtuous to the world. Nobody else is going to join in on this, and they're just going to sit back and laugh and just watch.
Well, Ed Miliband seems to be instrumental in this. Here's a picture of Ed Miliband trying to eat a bacon sandwich.
Oh, it's probably vegan bacon, so
yeah, it could be.
Fake on.
Yeah, I wouldn't normally endorse having pictures like that, because anyone could be taken like that, but he kind of deserves it, because he got lots of literally blowing in the wind. He goes on about burying carbon dioxide, 22 billion pounds of money being thrown into burying the gas of life. And luckily we don't see him on TV too often, because he's frankly everything that I don't want to see in a politician. Uninformed, in my view at least, seems to be got an intellectual equivalent of David Lammy. It's a shame, really, because I used to think he was quite clever. But then you can't just blame him, because all of the parties seem to be obsessed with this idea, and they all seem to think that there's some climate emergency. You've got Ed Davey and obviously Keir Starmer and Kenny Badenoch. Now, I don't even understand where the Tories are. Not that it matters much anymore. I don't think that they're going to come in. Reform UK, won't go into it much. We talk about them quite a lot here on Unprecedented. They want to junk this net zero thing. But it seems to me that the old parties, they're all quite hell-bent on wrecking the UK car industry, because by forcing people to go electric, there's not really much point in any UK or any car industry company that wants to build petrol or diesel vehicles doing them in the UK, because they won't be able to sell them here.
Exactly. It infuriates me, to be honest, because at the end of the day, we're asking for wind turbines and different gadgets like air pumps to be built probably overseas using coal-fired power stations.
You mean heat pumps?
Heat pumps. These are being made using power stations that we wouldn't use, because we'd be deeming it to be too bad for the environment. I often liken these attempts of the UK. It's a little bit like if you've got a glass of water, the UK would be like putting in a drop of orange squash to flavour it, and all it basically does is goes slightly cloudy. It's got no taste to it. It's not going to be something that's going to quench your thirst. Whilst the rest of the world will sit back and they will just watch. We're basically being viewed as an hilarious experiment. I think they'll just sit back, they'll watch as we impoverish ourselves, and they'll prosper from it.
But it's not really working very well. We came across this recent headline: electric vehicles increase market share but fall short of government mandate.
Yeah.
And in the actual article, which I won't go into now, the story is that sales are dropping. Well, they're going up, but not as fast as would be needed to go 100% electric by 2030. But the big problem is infrastructure. You just haven't got enough charging points for 37 million electric vehicles. And frankly, if you did have that many, we wouldn't have enough electricity, because we'd have to something double or triple the power of the national grid. And we've got Red Ed Miliband running around there trying to get us all to live on wind power. It just doesn't add up, does it? It's bonkers.
It is bonkers. And I would imagine the majority of the people that are watching this, Lembit, certainly myself, and I'm sure you too, we'll get out of bed, we'll get into our cars, and we might be running a little bit late. Now, if we get into our car and it's got, say, 30%, we're then going to go and park up somewhere and charge it up for half an hour. We'll go and have a bacon roll while we're sweating because we're late for a meeting, and we're having to wait for a car to fuel. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous mode of transport.
Some relatives of mine who tried to do the right thing came down from Scotland to Bristol not long ago, just for a family do. And that stopped something like 4 times.
Yeah.
It took them about 23 hours. Is there something, maybe I'm exaggerating, but I think it was something like that. Because it's just, maybe the tech can improve, but it's just not very practical. Instead of stopping for 5 minutes to fill up your petrol tank, you have to keep stopping for at least 45 minutes. And if you fast charge these things, you're going to wreck the battery.
I was just going to say, you end up with a battery that within a very short space of time can probably hold 80% of what it was originally holding. So it's just a joke. And these cars are so heavy that they are creating a lot of the problems that we've got out there on the road. So, where we suddenly got potholes appearing that previously weren't, it's because that the traffic that's going over these roads is heavier than in the good old days of the internal combustion engine. We're gonna miss it if we go down this road. So this is why the ABD is here to try and bring common sense to the table.
As my father used to say, sense is not common. But you mentioned the good. Yeah, you meant it about me, I think, and I proved it time and again in my life. You mentioned the good old days.
Yeah.
Let's finish pretty much where we started. One of my all-time favorite cars in terms of aesthetic. Delight is the E-Type Jaguar. They didn't handle that well, but they were absolutely beautiful. Let's look at something from, I think it's around 1961. It was actually an advert for, I think it was for the car. It's just so beautiful. That car is stunning. Now, I saw this advert earlier on. I mean, that's just that is stunning. It's so attractive. And here's the car. Now, if you look at the speedo as they're driving, and there's other traffic on the road, I don't think they're keeping to 60 or 70 miles per hour. Now, it's well, you'll see in a minute. But that's just a beautiful car. It's muscular, and there it is going along. And I think it overtakes a lot of other cars. There it goes. Now that's not doing 70.
No.
There you are. Look at the speed. It's like 130, 140.
Did you see that as well then? on that bridge going across the motorway there was the first ever speed camera.
Well, yeah, but the police wouldn't have a car to catch up with it. And that's muscular. That's what Jaguar is.
Exactly.
That guy felt like king of the road. What a wonderful piece of equipment there. That's wonderful.
Brilliant.
And in comparison to that, let's just have a look at that advert if we can get it up in a minute. Now, to me, that's the point of having a Jaguar. I'm probably not. I'd like to have an XJS. I didn't used to like them, but I've kind of got quite fond of them now. Because somehow there's just something about them which, and it's something beautiful about the XJS. It's sort of 1970s. Maybe it's me trying to relive my youth. I rode motorbikes for a long time for the same reason. But basically. We got the other one. This is now. Remember that E-Type Jag advert. Remember that's what it used to be like. Here, I think, is what they've replaced it with. This is the advert you're referring to before. Is that the one?
Man. This is the one.
This is just. I mean, come on.
What's it for? What is the advert for? That gentleman should have known better.
Brake molds.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Oh, dear. Dear, oh, dear.
It's just ridiculous. Jaguar. You actually think it's an advert for the Wokarati. I mean, that is just...
I thought
let's
it was
be honest, it's pathetic. It's got nothing
I thought
to
it
do
was,
with
it was either for clothes or makeup. That's what I thought the first time I saw that. You know, it's ridiculous.
Do you think that as a professional in the motoring sector, do you think that advert did them damage?
Massively. I believe that the output of vehicles after that dramatically fell off a cliff, basically, because as we've acknowledged, you know, the desirability factor, and looking at that archive footage that you just played, you know, you got grown men and young lads looking at that car, dreaming of owning that vehicle, really wanting to own it. Because
I mean, not so much this lot.
Not the Teletubbies, no.
No, you wouldn't expect any of them to come out of a Jaguar. Talk about misjudging your market.
It's unbelievable. I mean, we ought to applaud that marketing department for getting that as far as it did, because how on earth they persuaded JLR that was the right way to go. Well done to them.
Perhaps the same people who made that advert are responsible for their cybersecurity.
quite possibly.
I shouldn't really laugh. It's a terrible old business. Last thing to say, though, I mean, I think I'm a professional marketeer myself, and it's absolutely horrendous because they didn't understand their market.
No.
Quite clearly, what they produced there had nothing to do with the target audience, the one that you described, perhaps people of our age who want to actually have a bit of posh car to enjoy their retirement. I'm sure younger people buy them as well, but it's just ridiculous.
It's trying to reinvent the market at the cost of the existing market, and you should never do that. You should only ever build on what you've got, not destroy that and then just create a new one. An
additional problem, and finally, Donald Trump, who's uniquely made 2 state visits to the United Kingdom, admittedly in 2 different terms of office. He has taken a rather different, and you could say again, more muscular attitude. I think this is the photograph that won him the presidency, actually, when he was shot and stood defiantly saying, "Fight, fight, fight." Well, he's fought for his car industry, and he's just scrapped all of these targets for electric vehicles and so on. He hasn't made electric vehicles illegal, but he's made petrol and diesel very, very legal.
Yeah.
That must be another problem for the UK industry, and certainly puts the mockers on any pretense that this minuscule reduction in carbon dioxide was actually an increase because electric vehicles take more CO2 to build than the petrol currents. This must be another blow to the UK car industry.
Absolutely. It goes back to what I was saying before. You know, these larger countries that aren't going to be on board with this stupid narrative, they're only going to prosper from the decisions that are being made on our behalf. And it's a very sad state of affairs. It needs somebody to fight back in a positive way.
Yeah, when people were criticizing, I'm not suggesting you're not going to be. Oh, you might be arrested for inciting violence, but I don't think
I'm not inciting violence.
No, well, I said you're on fairly safe ground though, because if Councillor Ricky Jones, Labour Councillor Ricky Jones, can tell people to slit the throats of far-right campaigners, you're probably in fairly safe ground there.
I think so.
And I have to tell you that the electric vehicle agenda is doomed. It seems to me you're right; it's doomed. But when people are criticising Donald Trump, I'd much rather have Trump than Starmer in charge of the United Kingdom. maybe we should apply to be the 51st state. Oh,
Well,
that's
there you go.
controversial. Well, I'd literally would much rather have Trump here, because he would save us tens of billions a year on this net zero nonsense. He would re-energize the car industry by scrapping the zero emissions mandate. Is it something like that? Is that what it's called? EV mandate? And he would almost certainly say, drill, baby, drill for oil.
Yeah, well, when we've got such vast quantities off the coast of Scotland that we could be drilling for, and then of course there's the old shale gas that's never been explored. There's all sorts of things that we could be doing, and for me should be doing above and beyond this woke nonsense.
Well said. Where can people find out more about the Alliance of British Drivers, Paul?
Right, well, you can find us at abd.org.uk. We always welcome donations towards the cause, or sign up and become a member and then get regular news from us. We are championing the cause for motorists, be it through Full Throttle or through our regular content in the written word. So we are doing our very best to be the voice of the British motorist.
Thank you so much. That's Paul Naylor from the Alliance of British Drivers. Hope you found that interesting. Have your comments on X as well. And please subscribe at Unprecedented TV, our YouTube channel. The more subscribers we have, the better. We can do more programs we can provide. I'm Lembit Öpik. That was Lembit Öpik Live here on Unprecedented TV. Watch out for many other great shows today. Have a great day.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you?
Boring. 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 Boring.
You got it work. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
Exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages,